All right, hello everyone. It is Brenda here for Stamplicity, and welcome to What's Up Wednesday. All right, so this evening we are going to talk Gina K again. I know we've done a few little lives in the last bit on Gina K, but she's got some really fantastic products, and we've had a few questions about this product. So I thought I would take the time this evening to kind of explain to it and show you how they work. So I promise you this will be the last live working with Gina K products for a bit. All right. We just did get her new release in today. So there's some really fantastic stuff there. So um, but I really wanted to talk about this product here, which is the master layouts. All right. So we have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. We just received number 10 and number 11 in stock as well. I think there are over 20 of these master layouts, and these are great little additions to your die collections. They're like the little black dresses in your wardrobe. They're going to be ones that you go back to over and over. They're going to become classics and really simple to use. These are great for new card makers. They're also great for seasoned card makers as well. All right. And I'll explain that in a second. So welcome everyone that's joining me this evening. I see the comments coming through. So hello to everyone watching on Facebook as well as on YouTube. All right. So I'm just going to change I want to make my screen bigger, and now I don't know what I'm doing here. Let's go. Nope, that's not it. That's what I want. Okay. So let's talk about these master layouts. Now, they're all different, all right? And these are kind of like those basic shapes and basic dies you want for card making. It kind of takes the measuring out of the equation, which sometimes is a good thing. All right. This is going to give you your layering mats. It's going to give you elements that are going to work together with layers and such. So I thought I would go kind of explore number 1, 2, and 3, show you how they work. I'll show you 4 and 5, like kind of die cut out, but 1, 2, and 3, I'm going to do cards with. All right. So now, when I'm doing this, I will be working with a bunch of new products from Tailored Expressions as well. No, just I think Tailored Expressions too. So let's get started. Now, these have been around for a bit, so you might have seen them before, but they're new to us, and that's why I want to explain to them. But they are jam-packed dies. They really, really are. All right. So for those that are watching, if there's any questions or comments, pop them in the comment section. I have them right up in front of me, so I will answer them as they come in. And let's get started. All right, so we're going to start with number 1, Master Layouts number 1. Now, this is a very basic die set. And I'm not going to open it up because I've already done the die cutting. But there are larger rectangles in there. There are smaller rectangles, and then there are ovals in there. So let's take a look at what it cuts out. Okay, so it will cut out a larger rectangle. Now, this larger rectangle, just to give you kind of a sizing, is 3 3 and 7/8 by 5 1/8. All right. So, yeah, we all know we don't like the eighths, right? So that is the larger rectangle, and then we have a smaller rectangle, which is then 3 3/4 by 5. All right. So these are perfectly cut out. When you layer these on, you are going to get that wonderful little edging. All right, and it's going to be perfect. You don't have to worry about when you're trimming rectangles on your trimmer. Especially when you're working with eights, it becomes very complicated. And I know a lot of you don't like working with the eights, but you don't have to worry about your paper shimmying over while you're cutting, because that sometimes happens. And then when you put your two layering pieces together, they don't match up so nicely. All right. So having the dies is going to give you that perfect layer all the time. You're going to get that perfect border all the time because we use the die to cut. All right. So we've got a large rectangle and then the layering one that goes on top. Then we have this kind of, I'm going to call it kind of a belly band rectangle. All right. Because this will fit nicely across across here to create that belly band look. And again, we've got a larger one and a smaller one. The smaller one's going to mat and give you that wonderful, just ever so slightly small border around there, right? I don't know if you've noticed, I've been doing a lot of the smaller borders. I'm a little addicted to it rather than that having that. This is more of a 1/16 of an inch border around, rather than that 1/8 of an inch border. But large and small. And then we have the oval. All right, now this one here, they did the outside one as more of a decorative one, and she's got a beautiful petite scallop on there, an eyelet one, which is beautiful, and then the smaller one will layer on there. All right, so 6 dies in this collection, and this is what I love about these master layouts, is that you can print out from their website, and we have these posted in the store as well, on what you can do with these master layouts. So this is master layout number 1. All right. So these are just some ways that you can use the dies, all the dies on one card to create a really quick and simple card layout. All right. So really, Gina's done all the work for us, and thank you for that. I see Elsie. You know what? I'll put that on my list. Elsie. Elsie's just asking if it would be possible to demo the shark die set from Whimsy Dies. And definitely we can add that to our list. All right. It is really, really cool. About sorry, this is totally not master layouts, but the shark die is really, really cool. And if you see samples of it, that is the whole reason I brought it in, because it's just so fun, but the packaging sucks on it. All right. It doesn't show you how to put it together in a really great way. I don't even know if there's a picture on there and what it creates, but it does create this really fantastic shark that will fit on an A2 card. So Elsie, I'll write that down. And maybe next week we'll see. We'll see how many we have in stock first. I like to always, when I'm demoing something, I like to have something in stock. So, but we will definitely add that to the list, Elsie. Okay. All right. So these are just a few ways that you can use this this die set to create really simple layouts. All right. And these are going to be things that you're going to go back to over and over again. All right. So if you need quick and simple cards, this is just these are just great to have on hand. And because everything coordinates with one another, it just makes it really simple. There's no measuring to do. So we're going to start with this one. We're going to create a card using the elements on here. I've taken the liberty of doing the die cutting already. All right, so I have all the components, and I'm going to use all the components. Now, so I'm just going to start. As I said, these things layer on really easily. Everything's perfect. I don't have to measure. I just have to die cut. All right. So I'm just going to layer the components together. All right. So this here, I just used really nice coral colors. I don't know the names of these, but these are spellbinders. It's I think Bellini and maybe Coral is the name of it. I can't remember. All right. So, all right. So there's that. And now this is going to be my card front. This we're going to pretend is an A2 card base. And then this is going to layer on there, and it's all proportion. You're going to get that wider 1/4 of an inch mat on there, which I love. All right. Again, if you've been watching me lately, this is kind of my go-to. So there. So I'm just going to put this on my card front. And then we'll get to the other components. All right. So we've just die cut them. I knew what my color palette was going to be. I die cut them out, and now we're just going to glue these together, and maybe we'll put it on straight. I have a rough edge on the one, so I'm going to trim that down off. Got a little ripped edge on the side here, but I'm going to trim that down a little bit. Okay. So there's our card front. I'm going to go ahead and layer these 2 pieces together. And then I have this beautiful floral from Tailored Expressions. It's brand new. I don't think I've shown it on Happy Hour yet. It'll be tomorrow. I will show you. So you're getting a glimpse of some of the new things we will be showing. Actually, I think that's the only real new one. All right, so we have this. I'm not going to glue this on quite yet, and I'm going to glue these 2 together. All right, so all my layering pieces are put together because I haven't decided which way I want to do this. I love this little eyelet scallop on here. It's just beautiful. It's dainty. All right. Okay. Really quick and simple. All right. And Ruby, that is the way, that is why we are doing it. We've had lots of questions about these. Ruby is just saying that she's glad that I'm showing this. She saw these, but she didn't understand how to use. So you're not the only one, Ruby. We've had a few people inquire and ask about them. So that is why I'm here this evening. All right. So sit back and relax. All right. So we've got our components here. Everything's layered. Everything works together perfectly. Now, before I go with putting this together, I needed to have a focal point on here. All right. So our oval here is going to contain the focal point, which is going to be this floral here. All right. So this floral, let's talk about this. This is the brand new product from Tailored Expressions. This is a stamp and die combo. All right. So they come together. Remember, Tailored Expressions are a rubber mount cling stamp, all right, which I love because I love how rubber stamps, all right. I'm an old school. And then it comes with the matching die, and then it's got two little sentiments on here. Now, just the floral has the die. So I've taken the liberty of stamping that with black ink, Memento ink, because I'm going to be coloring it with alcohol ink markers. But look how beautiful this floral is, all right? It's dainty. It's kind of got a sketchy look in terms of like a hand sketched look, not a scary, sketchy look. And it's really, really pretty. So I stamped it and then I die cut it. And now I'm just going to color it quickly. I'm going to color this on camera because people I know are loving that I'm incorporating coloring in some of my videos now, which I said I would. So here I am coloring. So this is an easy color. I'm going to be using alcohol ink markers again. All right. So we do carry Olo. So that's what I'll be using. And the ones I'll be using is I have a light and a dark tone, and this is OR 7.1 and OR 7.2. OR stands for orange red. And then we are in the color family of number 7.1 is going to be the lower tone. 0.2 is a darker tone. All right. So I'm going to start with my lighter tone. And I'm just going to go ahead and add some color to the petal. All right. So I've just colored that entirely. Oh, maybe I should bring the camera down. 1 second. Let's just bring that down. So sorry if I made you dizzy. All right. So I've done that. I'm going to go into my darker color now, and I'm going to do kind of a flicking motion from the center of the petal to give it that shading. All right, that is it. If you find that the colors are not blending or there's a harsh line in there, then you can just go back to your original color and kind of flick right over top where the colors meet and they will blend. All right, so I'm going to do that with all of these now. And this color is very close to my cardstock papers. All right, so now, normally I would do one petal at a time. I'm cheating here, and I'm going to do all my light color just to speed up the coloring here. And I'm going to color all the petals of the first flower, and then I'll do my shading. All right. What I love about alcohol ink markers, and one, I don't use them as often as I should. So thank you for the suggestions that, I need to do more coloring because it's forcing me to use my alcohol ink markers. But I like using them because it is quick coloring. Even with the shading, it becomes very quick because of the nature of the inks. They just kind of saturate the paper, they blend, and there's no streaks, which I love. All right, so first one is done. All right, so I'll just hold that up. All right, you can see that I do have some shading on there. That's quick and simple. I have a little bit of a harsh mark there, but that's okay. I'm just going to continue on. All right, so let's do... I am going a little bit faster than I normally would be, but I will fix up my whoopsies if I have any outside the lines with a white paint pen. That is my little secret when I have whoopsies. All right, so let's do that. We're going to now flick that darker color from the center up. All right, easy peasy. I'm just going to soften these lines. And I'm going to soften this one too. Okay, and last one here. Sorry, I get quiet when I'm coloring. I'm concentrating. All right, and let's do the shading on this one. And again, just that flicking motion. And when I say flicking, I'm like flicking that nib, all right? So there is a little, I'm flicking up and out. Okay, so there is that. All right, let's do the leaves real quickly now. For this one here, I am using YG 1.4 and YG 1.6. YG stands for yellow green. All right, we're using the color family of number 1 and then the tone 4 and 6. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to color that, and then I'm going to take my darker color, and from the inside of the leaf, I'm just going to flick up to create that shading. And Brenda's gotten quiet again because she's really concentrating, because this is, you got fine little tips on these little leaves. Okay, and then I'm going to do my shading really. Can you hear the bird? Yeah, it's sitting outside. My window is open, and I believe it's sitting on the telephone line out there. But he's quite loud. Now he stopped, because he stopped, Debbie, because you heard him. I can't see him, but I know we do have a bunch of cardinals around. See, now I gotta look. I don't see him anymore. I don't know any bird sounds, so but I do know we do have a bunch of cardinals around. They're always so pretty. I get excited when I see them. And that we have a couple of blue jays as well. I love the looks of the blue jays. I know they're mean, but all right, we got 2 more leaves here, and then I'm just going to do the centers really, really quickly. And then this one is done. All right. So honestly, if I didn't go bird watching there for a second, this would have been done already. All right. So quick and simple coloring. And the more you use alcohol ink markers, the easier they become. So don't be intimidated by them. I know some people are, they're like, oh my gosh, no. And you don't have to do the shading. You can just color. You can just color direct. All right. I just made it extra special. All right, so now just the centers. I'm just going to do a little bit of yellow. So I'm going to start with 2.2. If it's too light, then I'm going to switch to 2.3. All right, so this is why I'm going to switch it to the darker color. Okay, so my flower is done. All right, looks lovely. I have gone outside the lines in more than one spot, so hopefully you can't see it on camera, but I know it's there. So for a tip and trick, if you do that, I like using a white paint pen. My favorite is using the Art by Marlene white paint pen. And then I can just go over top of where I went outside the line, being very careful, and just put a whack a load of white paint over top of my color, and then it looks like I was the perfect color. And I have a little spot here. I'm being very particular right now. Just so you know. All right, I think I am good. All right, I'm going to bring that up to the camera, and you can see my lovely coloring. Look at, I did a good job. All right, so that's going to be our focal point. All right, and that is going to go on to our little oval here. Oops, let's raise up the camera again. All right. Sorry if I made y'all dizzy. All right. So that's going to go on our little oval here. We're going to pop that up. Now, here's the cool thing. I'm going to bring up my master layouts page here again. All right. And here's how you can use this. All right. So you can use this horizontal, you can use a portrait. All right. That's up to you. So we could do our little smaller rectangles like the first picture here to the left hand side. Then we could layer this on. We could put our floral. See how easy that is? I mean, and look how effective that is, and still have room for our sentiment down here. All right. So that's one way of using that master layout. All right. We can switch this up as to a horizontal card like this one. And we can take our little band here. We're going to push it to the left-hand side and layer it that way. All right. Then we could put our oval this way. All right. And then we could have our floral on there. And that's effective as well. And we could put our sentiment here. I still think I like number one better. All right. That's just me. All right. You're going to go with what you like, right? Okay, let's try number three. Number three is same position as a horizontal card. And then this little layer is going to go in the center. Then we have the oval in the center of that. And then our focal point, our image here, will go. And that works as well. Have room for a little sentiment here. That's not bad. Now I'm torn between 1 and 3. All right, we're going to do our last one here. And I say last one, but there's lots of other ways that you can use this. These are just 4 that Gina K has put together as a representation of this master layout. All right, we can center this on here. We can put the oval, and then we can put our focal image right in the center, and then we have room there. So you can see that, they all worked. They all worked together. And it's just whatever is like, whatever you think looks best, all right? Everyone will have a different opinion. But I believe I think I like number one the best, and that's what I'm going to go with. All right. So I know I'm going to put one of my sentiments here. So we have thanks and get well soon. And I think I'm going to use the word thanks. All right. So I'm going to pull this out and we're going to stamp that before I start assembling this. All right. So stamp platform. Okay. So stamp platform, let's just have a little lesson about that now because we have cling rubber foam stamps. So these are a little bit different than using this in your stamp platform is a little bit different from using clear stamps, all right? So they work the same, but when you open your stamp platform, you always have a foam mat in here, all right? That is for use of clear stamps. All right. So when you have a clear stamp, there is no foam, there's no cushion. All right. That's why you have the cushion in your stamp positioner. So you're going to remove that. And everyone's having an aha moment going, oh, it really does get moved. All right. But don't lose this. All right. Put it in a safe spot. Don't lose it. I have lost one. It got like mixed in with cardstock. And so it's always important to put it back when you're done with it. All right. So I'm going to grab my base now, all right, with all my layers that I want on here. I'm going to hold it down with the magnets, and now I'm going to position my rubber stamp. Now, the thing with the rubber stamps is that you can't see through them, so it makes it a little bit harder for positioning, but that's why our stamp positioners have grids on the top, so you can kind of make sure things are straight. All right, so you're going to use it the same way, and this will cling. All right, now I'm going to open this up, and then, oh, that is so crooked. All right, so now I'm just going to use those grid lines to line up okay, this, I'm just going to use a ruler to really line up. This is the perfectionist in me, everyone. I'm sorry if my head's in the way of the camera. Okay, we got it straight. All right, and now we're going to go ahead and ink this, which I forgot to grab. Oh, you know what? I have Gina K inks here. So let's use them. I might as well try them. I got a little sampler pack to try, so why not? So, because I heard they stamp you. Oh, that's going to be lovely. All right. I am going to use these. This is called Innocent Pink, and it's very, very nice on the coral color. I think that will be lovely. So we're going to go ahead and stamp this. So here we go. Debbie's asking, do you have the little magnets in stock? Mine broke. I believe so. I believe we have some. If not, we will get them on order. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink that better. And I'm going to go one more just to deepen that color. It is stamped beautifully. I'm going to go in with one more. All right. Beautiful. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead. I'll clean that stamp afterwards. All right. So we have the word thanks on there. Oh, put the foam back in. Put the foam back in so I don't lose it. All right. If you lose the foam in your, a good alternative is just get a piece of fun foam. But don't go to the dollar store and get your fun foam because it's the fun foam at the dollar store is not as dense. You can go to that, craft store that we shall not name with a capital M, and they have denser fun foam. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's worth it. All right. So, all right. So we have the word thanks. All right. And now we're going to go ahead and layer this on. All right. So I think I'm going to do everything flat except for my floral. I'm going to pop up. All right. So again, we're just going to now, I'm going to just position this so it's centered top to bottom. And I'm going to keep my spacing here the same as in between that and my little sentiment there. All right, now I'm doing a tone on tone here. I mean, you could have lots of fun with colors. I kept a tone on tone. Sorry, I'm just getting my foam adhesives out, or my trolley out with my foam adhesives. And now we can, oh, maybe I'm gonna pop this one up too. We're gonna go this one and the flower. So this one I'm gonna use regular pop dots, and then I'm going to do thin ones. So I'm just gonna center this. And I'm going to use my thinner ones on the flower. Maybe I should use the bigger ones. All right, and then this is going to go now right in the center, and that one is complete. All right. I mean, quick and simple. No measuring, no designing, really, because all the elements are in one package. And then I suggest then when you buy one of these, and maybe we have them at the store. You can take a picture of them, or just go on the Gina K. If you are in the Gina K Facebook group, if you go into files, you're going to find a whole bunch of stuff there, which is awesome. You're going to find all of these for the master layouts. All right. So you can definitely do that. But that's just a great, simple way. No measuring, no thinking, right? Like just cut your pieces, know your color palette, know what your focal point is going to be, and then go ahead and do it. All right. So to finish this one off, obviously I'm going to put a little bit of gems or pearls on there because I always do. I have some ones that are going to match this lovely ink beautifully. And just, I mean, simple, right? Simple. Debbie's asking, are the Gina K inks pigment? They are not. They are a dye ink. So that means they are a fast drying ink. But I had a chance to kind of play with them over the last few weeks, thanks to my friend Anne Marie, who's on tonight. And they are pretty awesome. They are really saturated, and they stamp super crisp. Yes, hence the reason why the little questionnaire went out, or the little poll. went out on our Facebook page asking for your opinion on them. So, but they are pretty awesome. And I think they are like a hybrid as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think you can use them with watercoloring and alcohol inks, but don't quote me on this. I'm still learning. I'm still learning about these things. All right. So that is master layouts number one. Quick and simple. All right. Again, different ways that you can use those dies, but a really great starting point. I love those nesting larger rectangles. No longer do I need to measure my mats. The dies do it for me. This little banner piece is great to do that kind of belly band look, or just as an accent piece like I have on here. And that scalloped oval, that eyelet oval, love it. It's dainty, it's petite, it's beautiful. Works great with this floral. All right, that is number one. Master layouts number one. We're going to move on to master layouts number two now. Okay, so we'll put that to the side. And let's talk about master layouts number two. Now, this one here is, sorry, I just need to tidy up, keep myself organized. This one here is lots of rectangles. All right. So again, lots of layering components on here. So you're going to have, and this one here has, they're stitched as well. So let me just pull out the pieces here. So this one here has a larger rectangle and a smaller rectangle, but these are smaller than the first ones. All right. So again, these are going to work. If you have multiples of these, like number one, and then you get number two, they're all going to work together, which is awesome. All right. So this now becomes another layering piece if you wanted to. See how it's like 1/8 of an inch smaller again, and you're going to have another layering piece. This one's on its own though. All right. So these all work together as well. You're going to be able to work when you buy more than one, you're going to be able to work with them over and over again and with each other. So this one has a large solid rectangle, and then it's got one that's slightly smaller with the stitching detail on there. So of course that is going to layer with that perfect little edging around there. All right, so we've got the large and the small. This one again has another rectangle. Now this one's a little bit bigger. Now this one here, you're going to be able to layer these ones on as well. Like, so you can see how they kind of all will work together. All right. They'll all play nice in the sandbox, which I love. All right. So again, you're going to have the larger one and then the one with the stitching detail, layering components. All right. Then this one has two banners. All right. So again, these will layer on if you wanted to. They're not perfectly layered. However, there's one shorter and one longer. All right. These are great for those sentiments. All right. So this is what is in number two, a very basic set, but I think this is going to be, as soon as you start adding more into your collection, they're all going to start working together so beautifully. And you'll be like, oh my gosh, you'll all get addicted because I know I am. All right. So again, no measuring. All right. Everything is cut for us. All right. So let's just put our two layering pieces together so that they are done. Then we're going to go ahead with our focal point. All right. Now this one here, we're going to stay with tailored expressions. And I figured Father's Day is just around the corner. So I thought I would do a couple of fun masculine cards using some of the great dies we got in from Tailored Expressions. So yes, Sue, I agree. This is brilliant. Why I did not jump on this bandwagon before, I don't know why. But anyways, I'm happy that I'm here, and I'm going to have you all join me on the bandwagon because it is brilliant. All right, so card making is going to get a lot easier for me now. So okay, so we have our larger panel, our smaller panel, and I have our card base, which I just did out of white. So this one here, I'm just going to layer that on. All right, so let's go ahead and do that just so that you have a visual on how this is all going to size up with an A2 card. All right, so we're just going to center this in. And my paper is not, see, my base paper, not even, because I cut it with a trimmer. That's what I mean. When you cut rectangles with a trimmer, sometimes your paper, just with the pressure of the blade and such, will skim over a little bit. And then, I don't know if you can notice that, but it is slightly crooked. So having the dies, you're going to have perfect mats all the time. Okay, so we have our two pieces here. And let's go ahead now and figure out what our focal point is, all right? Well, our focal point, I know what the focal point is going to be, but this is going to be a fun little barbecue. All right, so this is from Tailored Expressions, this fun little barbecue die. I've already pieced some of it together because I thought, you're not going to watch me piece this. But this is really simple to do. I love the fact that you can have the barbecue with the lid popped open, or you can have a flaming barbecue here. You've got little tools, you've got the ketchup and mustard bottle. So I've taken the liberty of kind of cutting this already, and I'm going to have a flaming barbecue with the lid attached as well. So I'm just going to build this really, really quickly. Oopsie, that did not glue. All right, the wheel. I need my tweezers. And we're going to put the lid on. So we're going to put I want to see more of those flames. All right, and then I'm just going to put the little, I don't know what this is, the little thermostat or the little temperature gauge. At least that's what I think it is. And the sizing of this is like perfect. Like it's not too big, it's not too small. Oh my God, I just went like glue overload there. Good thing it dries clear. All right, and then do we have, I'm going to put the little sausage or the hot dog on here. All right, barbecue done. I mean, how cute is that? All right, there's our little barbecue masculine card. I've got the utensils and I've got the ketchup mustard. I'll put them on when I get the card put on. All right, so we're going to do that. All right, so let's take a look at our printout for this one. And this has, again, 4 options, but there's going to be more that you can create. All right, so you can just see very simple layouts, but very effective layouts. All right, so I have this is number 1. All right, so we could layer on layer, right? And then we could put our barbecue there. And then if I wanted to put a sentiment, I could put the sentiment across, here, let's just say. No, maybe not. Maybe down. Anyways, I could definitely do that. I can probably pop this up a little bit and put it underneath. All right. So there would be, layout number 1. All right. Very easy to do. Actually, I don't even know if these sentiments are going to work with the sentiment set I have. Oh, no, I can. Okay. So that's layout number 1. All right. So that was 1. All right. Then we could do it as a portrait one. Now, I don't think this is going to work with my barbecue. All right. Well, I guess we could. We could do it this way and then have our sentiment like that. All right. A little bit different from what I have on there. But you can kind of see that could be number 2. All right. And then we have number 3, which is you're going to push up this one here, and then you can put your sentiment underneath. Again, probably not going to work with our barbecue because the barbecue has height to it. But if you had a smaller focal image, that would definitely work as well. Or we can do number 4 here, which is this guy, which we're going to push. It's very similar to our last card. We're going to push it to the left-hand side. We're going to have the barbecue, and then the sentiment is going to go across. All right. So now I think I'm wondering if I should see, now I can push it to the right-hand side if I wanted to. Maybe I'll go this way. I'm not sure if I love my background colors and that could be it, but no, I think I'm going to go this way. All right. I'm going to leave you all in suspense, all right? What I'm going to do is I do have the matching barbecue sentiments on this one. This is called Grill Master from Tailored Expressions. It coordinates nicely with the barbecue. So I think the Happy Father's Day is the one I'm going to use because it's going to fit, and I think it's going to be on this one here. Yes, it will fit on there. So let's go ahead and stamp this. Now, for this, I would normally um, stamp and then die cut because then I can see what I'm doing. But because I did the die cutting already, I made it harder for myself. So just going to grab black ink. All right, and let's go and try and do this and hope for the best. So with rubber mount stamps, it's probably easiest to stamp first. All right, so, but we're going to make this work. Okay, so we're going to do Happy Father's Day for this because I know that's going to fit on the banner. All right, so oh my gosh, that looks pretty straight. Okay, we're just going to go with it, everyone. All right, so this I'm going to do in black ink. Now, the nature of this font is not like straight, so I think I can get away with it even if it wasn't straight on my stamping platform. Perfect. I'm just going to deepen that up. It could have been, oh, I hope that didn't move. And I left the black pad in mine. Oh my gosh. I was wondering why there was so much bounce. So if you forget to take the black pad, you're fine. But that stamped really well. I'll clean that up afterwards. And let's put this together. So I'm not going to use a smaller banner. All right. So I'm going to use a bigger banner. Okay. So I think I'm going to do something like, oh, I guess it should be in camera view, huh? All right, so I think I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to push our rectangle. I'm not even using any of these, but I'm using this one as kind of my inspiration. I'm pushing it to the right-hand side because it's opening up on the left-hand side. So it just, that to me, that looks better. So that's what I'm going to do with the little sentiment here. All right, really, again, quick and simple, no measuring, right? So let's put this all together. I think I'm going to pop this one. Okay, so I'm going to now just frame it in. So keeping my spacing on the side and the top and bottom kind of all the same. All right, and I popped this one up to give it a little bit of dimension. All right, so I don't know if that's really straight. Didn't look straight in my camera, but maybe, I guess it is straight. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and pop this guy up. All right, and now I'm going to center this on this panel. All right, so there. Now, the other thing you could do as well to create a little bit more interest, you could definitely emboss those back panels as well. Just slip them into an embossing folder and you would have some nice texture on there. On the back one would be great to have a pattern paper on there, but everything would remain the same. You would still use those dies, all right? So, and now we can put the Happy Father's Day, and I'm going to be strategic on where I'm putting my foam adhesive. All right, I'm just going to hold this up just so I can get it straight. All right. And that card is completed. Again, you might want to put You know, I probably put glossy accents on the barbecue itself to make it shiny. And then maybe if you want to put gems, or maybe I'll put gems, I'm not sure, but I will put glossy accents on the barbecue. But really simple, all right? Again, no measuring, all right? So the layout was good. So now this was like a fifth layout I just created, all right? I used this as inspiration, but I flipped things. So I pushed it to the right-hand side rather than to the left-hand side, all right? So, all right, so that is master layouts 2. Hopefully you're understanding now how these all work and how simple it makes for card making and designing, especially when you have the inspiration here, because then you can just grab that die set and then you die cut your pieces out of your papers that you've chosen and just put it together. All right, there were really no thinking involved. All right, that is number 2. Now let's move on to number 3. Oh, I forgot. Never mind. We're going to finish up card number 2 because I forgot the little utensils and such. So these would be cute to put. See, now I don't need texture. We'll put our ketchup and mustard bottle. We'll layer them like that. And then we have the little tongs. All right, maybe the tongs we won't use. All right, let me put these on. Because I took the time to die cut them, and so I'm going to put them on. And that actually, like, to me, it was almost a little too plain in the background. This is going to add that interest I needed. Love it. Okay, now that card is complete. All right. Oh, what happened to it? My little ketchup bottle fell out. Anne Marie made a really good point. These are great, especially if you do um, multiples of a design. And I use this kind of example all the time. I'm just going to fix my camera. It's like when I do Christmas cards, I design one and then I make multiples of that one. So normally it's around 60 cards that I create of that same design. So this is great for doing that repetitive design work, right? So you will have, you know that you're going to need that base 60 times, just trim them out, right? No measuring, you just die cut, right? So it makes it really easy. I think my staff are even going to like this when they have to do class prep. If we use this now, no longer will they need to measure, they can just die cut. I think they prefer die cutting than using the trimmer all the time. So, all right, that one is now complete. All right, that one's so much better with those little utensils on there. Okay, now that was number 2. All right, now we're going to go into Master Layouts 3. Now, Master Layouts 3, I'm falling off my chair. All right, Master Layouts 3 really spoke to me because I like making square cards. And this one here has so many components. All right, this one is really, really jam-packed. There is so much in here. All right. So you can see you have 2 regular squares, 2 stitched squares in the larger size, a smaller in the plain, and then the stitched. Then you're going to have 2 sets of circles that will layer together. And then you got 4 banners on this one. There's so much with this one. So let's take a look. I die cut everything for this one here. So let's just take a look what you get in here. All right, so there is the large square, and then the stitch square that coordinates with it. And then we go one down, and then we have the solid and the stitched for this one. All right. Again, you can layer these on, all right, on each other if you wanted to. And now you're going to have this really fantastic. You can use them independently or together. They all work together. Oh, Sherry, you're always thinking. You're always thinking. I will put that up. I'll put that on the list. I like the idea. I don't know if I could do it. Oh, you said every other month. I was going to say, I thought you said every month. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. But every other month might be doable. You might be onto something there, my dear. All right. So we got the 4 larger squares. And then we have that kind of smaller square. Again, you're going to have the solid and then the stitch design on there. All right. So that you get all those squares in there, those dies. And then you're going to get the two sets of circles. So you have one that's slightly larger, and that's the solid. And then you have the stitch. And again, all the mats are going to match up perfectly. All right. So again, this is what I love about it. That's a larger one. And then we have the smaller one with the smaller stitch. All right. So we have those ones. That's a whole lot of dies in this one, guys. All right. And then you have the 4 banners. All right. Now these are smaller banners. And now I have to wonder. How do they layer on? I'm going to go, this is the smaller one from the last one. Oh, yes. See, that smaller one of them will layer in center of that one. And that means probably this one will layer onto the front. See, I'm learning as I'm going as well. So this one here will layer in on here. All right. Brilliant. Brilliant. Just saying. All right. All right. This one does not belong. All right. So then you have the 4 and you have them from small and then you got a medium, another medium, and then a large. All right. It's a whole lot of dies for one set and then all the things that you can do with it. Honestly, just brilliant. Okay. So let me just put this to the side. And now I got to remember what I was going to be using with this. All right, so I cut the base one out of the largest square out of white for this card. And then I'm going to use these two. And then I think I'm using these two. And I don't know if I'm using the banners. I can't remember. But let's put these pieces together. All right. And then we'll talk about how you can arrange these ones. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's put my mats together. Again, no measuring. I don't care how big these are. I don't have to care because the dies did all the work for me. Now this one I'm layering 3 layers on here because I love the fact that you had 4 layers to deal with. So I treated that back layer as my card base. All right, so now, again, we're going to do this as a masculine card. And we're going to be using the little golf club or the golf bag from Tailored Expressions. All right, so we have that. Now, just to give you a reference point, this is it's like 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. All right, so you could definitely put this on a 5 by 5 card. It would be awesome. All right, then I'm going to layer these two together, and then let's bring out kind of the cheat sheet on terms of how you can use this die in different ways. This one here, there's so many different things that you can do with this one. I'm going to show you what Gina K has on her cheat sheet. Okay, so that, and we're going to layer that on there. Okay, so let's bring out the cheat sheet. Okay, so again, depending on which squares you might use, all right, you can layer the squares together. All right, so number 1 here, you could do that, and then you could do the circle in the center. Your focal point would be on there, and then the sentiment. All right, you could put the sentiment down here. You could put a sentiment across, like on our first one here. All right, so that's one way of using this die. You could use the bigger squares, the smaller squares. All right, you can do the same thing with your layering set here, and then use the square. This one here, they've pushed up, and then you can put your little sentiment underneath. All right. Then they have this one here where they've taken the larger squares and then taken the smaller circles and cut them out multiple times. And then you could do a group of 3 on there. And then you could use your little sentiment. I don't have enough circles to do that, but then you could do that. So you can see that you could do 2 circles down the center here. You could do 4 circles on there. All right. Do you see how this all works so well together? That you can create multiple designs. It's just endless possibilities. They've also incorporated that you could, position a wreath. Now, the wreath is not part of this, it's just for visual purposes. But if you had a stamp of a wreath or die cuts and all that, you could create a wreath and then have the circle in the center with the little banner sentiment on there as well. All right, so you can see how this all works together. Debbie has a question. Do you find that all the layers on the front make it tip over? Do you have a recommendation for the back of the card or for the center of the card? I find when you do a side fold card, usually you have no problem with it tipping over. Um, I find when you have a top fold card, if you have too much on the front, then it will like slide down. But I mean, I would not put, you know, all these layers all together. Like this one here, the white is my card base as I refer to it. So I don't think you're going to have a problem with it without. If you think that it's too heavy, then I got to find a card front here or card base. Ta-da. I have a solution if you do have that problem. So, all right. All right, so here's my card base. If this was on there and you're worried about how, if it's too heavy, it would fall over, then what I would do, and this is always a really nice way to do it, and I typically will do this in my cards when I finish my cards. So if you know me, I always do card fronts. That's how I design. And then when I need a card, I'll go digging through my little drawer, pick out the card, and then that's when I put it on my card front. That's just me. All right, that's how I do it. But then what I will do then is I will put another piece of cardstock in here. All right, and just to finish it off. So for this one here, I might cut that navy blue and that's light blue. All right, adhere them together and put that in the inside of my card. And then I could probably use the tongs if I kept them to put on the inside of there for as decoration. So now your card is finished on the inside. So I typically will do that. I always finish the inside of my cards. And having that extra piece of cardstock on there is going to help kind of help with the maybe the overweighted front. All right, so that's just a little tip there, Debbie, if you are finding that all the layers. But honestly, I think you'll be okay. Like this is not attached by any means, but even if I were to attach this, and I have lots of layers on there on my card, I mean, it's still standing up. So, okay. So if you do find that your card's a little front heavy, then just finish it on the inside, add some cardstock in there with a decorative feature, and that should help balance it out. Try it out. All right, so those are just a few. And like I said, you could do all 4 circles, the smaller circles, which I think would be really fun. You could do 2 circles, diagonals. You can make this into dice and use a wreath. So lots of different ways to use this one because there's so much here, all right? Anyone that does little mini albums, I mean, honestly, you could have this as a little accordion, just put little um, pieces to attach them, but you could definitely kind of make this into a fun fold accordion if you're really creative. The list goes on. Okay, so let's put this one together. So we have this, and then we're going to create a little golf bag on here. Now, where did I put my little, there it is. All right, so this is a little collection from Taylor Expressions. We're still waiting on a few of the components here. So I got the golf bag and I'm like, well, that's stupid. There's no golf clubs, but it's coming. They're still coming. And there's a golf cart as well, which would be super cute on here as well. But I'm doing the golf bag. So I'm going to put that together. And I just picked colors. These are just so stinking easy to put together. All right, so, and I love the proportion of this, all right? It just fits on an A2 card beautifully. All right, so golf bag is this way. I keep on wanting to put it upside down. All right, so let's just put the little pieces here. They all line up. So I'm going to start on the left-hand side, and I'm just going to line this piece up. And this is just going to fit right in the curvature of the left-hand side. And then the next piece is going to butt up to that. And presto, we have a golf bag. And then we're going to put the front pouch on. I probably put way too much glue on there because it over. All right. I wiped all the glue off. Gotta go right along the edge. All right, here is our cute little golf bag. Super cute. All right, so now we've got to do decision time. Now see, I'm going to go to the circle here. All right, so we can do the golf bag, but I find that square might be a little too big. So I'm wondering if we should switch it to the circle, which I think is going to be the winner. And then I don't think the banner is going to work with this one here because these are a little bit bigger. All right, so I'm just going to stamp right on here. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. So no square, we're going to use a circle instead. I like the proportion of the circle with my golf bag better. So let's just do that. And I think I'm going to position that in the center, and then I'm going to stamp my little verse there. So let's do it. All right, so then after I finish this card, I'm going to show you Masters Layout 3 and 4. We're not going to do a card with it, but I want to just talk about the components just so that you have all the information for them. All right. You're a hole in one. You're the best by par for you. I'm just going to do for you. And we're going to put this in the bottom corner. And I'm going to take the foam out this time. I didn't get that super straight, but that's okay. I'm rushing, that's why. All right, so that is going to go. I'll clean that up afterwards. Okay, I'm going to pop a circle up. And we're going to put that right in the center. Or maybe we're going to bring it up a little bit because my for you was a little bit. And then we're going to pop up our little golf bag. And I got a black fingerprint right on the golf bag. That's great, Brenda. All right. All right, and there is that. And then I'm going to, once the golf clubs come in, I can put some on there, but look how cute. Debbie's asking, do you make your square envelopes or use ready-made? I normally use ready-made, and we sell them at the store. We have 5 by 5, 5.5 by 5.5, 6 by 6, and 6.25 by 6.25, I believe, in white and cream. But I did demo that beautiful envelope maker just a few weeks ago. And so now maybe I don't need to use ready bought ones because now I can make my own. All right. So there's that. So it all depends. A lot of people like to coordinate their envelopes with their card. And if that's the case, then I definitely recommend getting an envelope maker. If you don't care about your envelopes, I just usually use plain white ones. Then I just use ready-made ones. So, all right. So there is number 3. All right. I will finish that one up. But let's talk about the other ones that I'm not going to actually do a card with. Let me just tidy up. But I want to go through all the components and just show you. We did get 2 new ones in today. We got number 10 and number 11 in. Number 10 is for a slimline card. All right, there's that one. And number 11 is really cool because it's like doors and windows, which is, I think, really fun. But let's talk about number 4. Number 4. All right, so here's Master Layouts number 4. Okay, so you're going to get a great scalloped rectangle with a little stitching detail on there. You're going to get a stitched heart and a regular solid heart. You're going to get a postage stamp. All right. You're also going to get a layered banner here, a solid, and a stitched one. You're going to get some buttons, and you're going to get some more little sentiment banners here. Again, they're going to be different sizes from the last one we showed you. So let's just take a look at what you got. So this is the rectangle, and this is an A2 card here. Sorry, I'm doing white on white, but I am going to just show you how that layers on. All right, so it's going to fit and proportion on there nicely. All right, so there is that one. And I love this one. I love a good scalloped edge with stitching. All right, I just love um, this creates a really fun background mat. So we have that one. All right, then we have the hearts. And again, the hearts will layer onto one another. All right, so we've got the solid one, and then we have the stitched one. All right, so they're going to layer, again, the perfect matting all the way around, which is awesome. So we have that. This would be cute too. I just thought of it now that you could just glue the two sides, and this can create a little pocket, which would be really cute as well. So you get those. And then we have the large kind of little banner here. And again, you're going to get the solid, and then you have the stitched one. And again, they are going to layer on with that perfect border around. All right. Then you have the little postage stamp. All right, so we have that. You got two banners, and then you've got the cutest little buttons. All right, so you have the 4-hole button here that's got the stitching design. Then you have a little heart with the full 4 holes. And then you have around one that's got the 2 holes, no stitching. Camera. All right. So let's just take a look at the cheat sheet for this one. And again, this one's got a lot of basic shapes in there, but you're going to be able to mix and match beautifully with the elements just in here, but with the other master layouts as well. All right. So, and this is what I'm saying. She will tell you, like, you can take this and you can use another shape on top of it, whether it be a square, whether it be a circle or an oval. You can place it on there with a little sentiment strip behind, underneath it. All right, so that's really easy. Here's one where they've done the layered hearts with the buttons up the side and there. This one here, they've made it almost, to me, it looks like a medallion. Again, you're going to be using a different shape. They say the circle and then have the banner hanging from behind it. This one here, again, a little banner with a button. And again, placement of all this stuff can be mixed around to create different looks. All right. This one here, I love that postage. That's just cutting 4 of these ones and layering them. And again, you can layer it on the scalloped, but I would do a regular rectangle, I think. And then we have the scalloped with the heart. So lots of different great basic shapes in this one that you can mix and match. So that's basic, a master layouts number 4. Love those little buttons. They're be so cute with a little bit of glossy accents to make them shiny. All right, last but not least is number 5. All right, so these are the first 5 that we got in. And like I said, we did bring in number 10 and 11. Number 10 is slimline. And then we have number 11, which was like doors and windows, which is really cool. Now this one has a window in here as well. All right, so this is number 5. So let's just take a look at that. So this one here, you're going to have another rectangle. Again, this is a stitched one, and you know that these are all going to work. Like this can get layered onto number 4. All right, so we've got the double stitching there, and of course, sorry, I'm falling off the chair. If we go back to this is number 2. That's gonna like sandwich in there, so you can see that they will work with some of the other ones. All right, so you've got that one. Then you've got a stitched triangle. Now this one's really cool because you can do lots of fun stuff with this. This, of course, will work on the squares. So if you wanted to do a little triangle on there, you can see that it will work with that. So you've got the triangle. I'll show you how you can use that with the cheat sheet as well. Then you're going to have a longer banner and then a shorter banner. Then you are going to have a stitch circle. You're going to have the solid to go with it. And this one here is the in between of number 3. All right. So that one had 2 circles. This is the in between. So again, now you can start layering these together. That was the larger one that I had on there. But you also have this kind of, what is this? What kind of scissors? The Pinkett pit. I forget what how that is now, but that was going to. So it gives you that kind of like little seal look. All right. So you have that. All right. And then you've got the window, which is an inlet die here. So on your front of your, you can on the front of this one, you could actually put the die on there, and it will cut out all those little window panes and create a window. All right. Which again, then you can build scenery cards and shaker cards. And oh my gosh, the how many, oh, I can think of all these ideas that I can do. All right. So let me just bring up the cheat sheet for this one. All right. So these are just a few ways that you can use this. So on here, they've kind of integrated some of the number 4 here. So like they said, they've done the window on that stitched one, and then they layered it on this one from number 4. Here is how you can use that triangle. You can kind of do a color blocking look. They will fit, you could fit one here on an A2 panel and then cut another one for this. Then you could put a strip in the center. You can put a shape in the center as indicated on here. The circles can layer on top of one another. They'll work with a wreath. You've got the little banner here. Here's another way of using that stitched rectangle with the banner. The window again, just on a plain card. And I'm loving this one here because now they're incorporating flowers in there. All right. So there is that. All right. So lots of different ways that you can use number 5 to create really different looks. And again, all of these are going to work with existing ones, which is awesome. They're all going to play well in the sandbox, as I say. So that is Master Layouts number 5. Sorry to disappoint you, Anne-Marie. I'm not doing a sample with this one tonight, but I will work with these ones with our samples and such, and then we'll post pictures and such. But those are the Master Layouts. Sherry is asking, does Gina K have Master Layouts for larger cards, like 5x7? I don't know the answer to that, Sherry, but I will find out, all right? I haven't really taken a good look at all the master layouts because there are so um, there are so many. I just started with the first 5 because they seem to be the real basic ones, and as the numbers increase, there's some more kind of more definite imagery in there. Like I said, like number 11 is a lot of windows and doors, but they all kind of add on to one another. So I will get back to you, Sherry, with that. All right. So, oh, Darlene has that, as Darlene has says yes, she does. All right. So I don't have to look into it. Thanks, Darlene. She says yes, she does. So that is that. So those are the master layouts dies, jam-packed dies with all these layering elements. You have the cheat sheets. There is number 1 all kind of put together. There is number 2. I'm going to take my paper clip off there. And then number 3, which I need to just finish up with some golf clubs when I get them. But really, I know measuring, everything went together nicely. I didn't have to worry about, are my layers and whether or not, what measurements I needed. And everything works out perfectly, which I love. So those are master layouts in a nutshell, everyone. So hopefully that answered all your questions regarding these fabulous die sets that we just got in, and I can't wait to play with them more and more. So if there's no other questions or comments, I'm going to sign off. I'm like dying here. The window's open, but I'm not getting a breeze, and it's really hot in my studio. I'm like sweating. But hopefully you enjoyed that, and you understand how these all work now. And we'll do more with these ones, so I promise. So I think it's just a great way of designing cards, and a really quick and efficient way of designing cards. All right, so thank you everyone for joining us live and on the replay. And again, if you have any other questions regarding these, you know how to find us. You can message us on our Stamplicity Facebook page, or email us, or give us a call. All right, so that is that, everyone. Have yourself a wonderful evening, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.